So my daughter is 3 years old, and we are looking into pre-K, preschool for her, and looking into different schools. The public schools in our area are not the best. It's not something I want her enrolled in, and my husband feels the same. We're starting to look into private schools. However, in our area, we only have a handful of private schools, and they seem all very religion-based heavily, and I am fine with religion in schools. I'm fine with her being taught religion. It's just not something I want shoved right down her throat. It's not something I feel like it should be heavily based on. I just really wish that there was a school in our area that was a private school, had uniforms, it was a small classroom, and just solely based on education without the religion aspect taught into the curriculum. Unfortunately, though, in my area, we don't have anything like that other than homeschooling. I wanted to homeschool her very much. That was my original plan when I was pregnant with her, was just going to be homeschooling, strictly nothing but homeschooling. And I'm starting to realize how crucial that socialization is for her, especially throughout the elementary school age years. They're just all extremely religion based. And with homeschooling, I would love to do that. It's just very crucial for her to have that socialization within the elementary school age. I mean, I would love to pull her out when she's hitting the middle school age. And my husband brought up a very good point to where she might not want to be pulled out and homeschooled, and she might want to stay with her friends in middle school and continue on through high school. And that's something I hadn't really considered. So with having that possibility in mind, finding a great school is even more important now. And we have been trying to search and find different schools, and it is keeping me up at night, just worried about the kind of education she's going to have. I had a very hard time in school. I didn't like school. I was an honors student. I did great in it. It's just I wasn't a fan of it. And I did get bullied, and there was bullying in the school. I've seen a ton of it, and in my area, the school is not the best. The school system is not the best whatsoever, and it's only getting worse. I have a younger brother who's 13, and he's in the school system, in the public school system, and that's not something I want for my little girl. So finding the right school and the right education is so important. And I never thought when I had her as a first-time mom that this was something I would be literally up all night thinking about and researching. And no matter how much research I do, there's just nothing that gives me the kind of information of me being the child and sitting in the classroom on a day-to-day basis. And it's really hard. And also too, tuition. I mean, the schools are really expensive. And yes, there is a grant that will help us with the private schooling. But then it also comes into base of the religion aspect, which I just don't want a heavy-based religious curriculum for her. I find that I think that it's very important for her education. I want her to be taught. She's so smart too. I mean, I know everybody says their kid's smart, but when it's your own child, you're like, they're really smart. And it's just something I want to make sure I'm doing right as a parent. I just want to make sure I'm doing right by her and finding a classroom that's a small classroom size for her. And when we bought our house and we're in the location that we're in originally, it wasn't a thought of, oh, what kind of school systems are around? Oh, we're going to be in the school system that me and my husband were in. In my head, I was like, I'm homeschooling her, so it doesn't matter. And now, after she was born, just like I said, she wasn't going to be sleeping in our bed. Yeah, things don't always turn out the way that you plan whatsoever. And it's just kind of crazy because I never thought that I would be this stressed out and this worried and overwhelmed looking into schooling for her. It's been very, very stressful. The last 2 weeks, I have been looking nonstop and up half of the night just thinking about, what about if the school is teaching too much of this, or what if I'm not there and I'm not hearing what they're teaching her? I feel like there's a boundary line with every parent, and whenever it comes to religion especially, I mean, even though we are the same religion as the school that she's going to, it's not something I want somebody else constantly teaching her. I feel like that's me and my husband's job to teach her and also have her question things and be able to question things. I know me personally as a kid, if my teachers were saying something, I was not the student to be argumentative with the teacher whatsoever. I would just be like, okay, all right. And I don't know if my daughter is going to be like that or be like my husband who questioned absolutely everything and anything. I want her to question things, but but me personally, I know that I never would. So that's what weighs on me. I feel like we have found a really good public school and one really good private school. I did leave a voicemail with the private school. I'm hoping that they get back to me. I've heard that they're extremely hard to get into. This one private school that I have heard of and have had a lot of people tell me about and have great reviews is that it is extremely hard to get into. So I'm really hoping we can get into it. However, their website doesn't have anything updated from 2020 to 2021. So I'm really hoping that they're still open. I know COVID hurt a lot of places, and I'm just really hoping that this private school is even still open. So hopefully I get a call back from them to inquire more information about them and have a tour and to see what it's like there and, start the enrollment process. And if not, our other backup option is to go through our city school district and to get special permissions for my daughter to go to a school that's about 30-40 minutes away from our house. I wouldn't mind transporting her every day. It is a smaller area, so there are less kids in the public school. And I do know several people who have their children enrolled into this public school. So that's the only school that I would be okay with her attending public-wise. And like I said, when we bought our house originally in the area, I had homeschooling. So we have even considered selling our house and relocating and buying a house out there. Again, though, housing market is completely different than when we bought our house. And not only that, but the houses in that area don't go up for sale very often. It's very, very rare that you see an affordable home that's in decent shape go up for sale, or you see a house that is just completely over the top. It's brand new, everything, remodeling, and it's just something that we can't afford. And to find something within our price margin that's move-in, livable, we can fix up cosmetics, we can fix up things, but it has to be at least livable for us to sell our house and to move into it, especially with another baby on the way. And with her 3-year-old, it would be very hard with us moving in and doing those renovations for cosmetic, let alone if it's not livable. I don't know what we would do then. We are looking at a house that is up for sale there, hopefully going to go for a tour on it this week. But the house right now, the way that it looks, it doesn't look like it's move-in, livable, and fix it up as you live there. Our house that we bought was move-in ready. It needed a lot of cosmetic remodeling. And me and my husband did it slowly over time. We did it while I was pregnant, and then after our daughter was born, we did small renovations here and there as we could and what we could do with our child at the same time. So if it's something like that, I think we can definitely do it. But now I'm also nervous because we're having a second child, and having a second child in the mix plus renovations, it's hard to do our renovations right now with a 3-year-old. I can't imagine what it's going to be like with a 3-year-old plus a newborn, and trying to find her a school as well. But it's all worth it if I can get her into a better school district. I know that special permissions are allowed, and especially because she hasn't started school, we have a higher chance of being able to get her into a different district. But again, it's also a tuition base. If you want your child to go to a different district, you will have to pay out of pocket for the tuition, even though it's a public school. Which again, we're okay with doing. I just don't know if a grant would apply to us in that circumstance. Because it's not a private school, it's a public school that we're trying to get her into. So I'm not sure if the grant will even cover that. There's so many things that I think about, and it really bothers me. And I never thought ever, being pregnant with my daughter, that her education would really weigh on me like it is now. I just thought it was as simple as homeschooling her, and I've thought back and forth, should I just homeschool her? I still have plenty of time to fill out the forms, come up with the curriculum, and submit them into our district for me to homeschool her this pre-K. And I know pre-K, a lot of people say it's not needed. We could just have her go into kindergarten. That gives us a whole extra year to prepare for this. But either way, I feel like I would be in the same exact situation that I am right now next year. Still searching, still trying to find something. Because when it comes to your child, no matter what, you want the best of the best for them. And it just seems like sometimes you don't want to have those super high expectations, but you can't help but have those high expectations. And when it's not met, then it's not okay. And I know that I'm a really good mom. I'm really good with my daughter. She learns so quick and so fast, and she's so responsive that I just want the best for her. And I want something that's going to see and notice her and say, okay, you know what, this kid is doing awesome with this. She needs a little bit more help with this subject. And I feel like with private schools, they do that. And with smaller classrooms, they will do that. And I do know that the classes in the district that we're looking, they have about 25 students in the classroom, but there are 3 teachers in that classroom as well, which is very, very rare, especially with the teacher shortage that we have. And I feel like teachers are very undervalued and underappreciated when they are so important to our child's education and to our child's life. And I just really want what's best for my daughter. So focusing on her education has been my number one priority the last 2 weeks, and it's literally keeping me up. And I never thought, wow, I really need to be careful of where we move because of her education. It was just, oh, homeschooling her, done, easy. She'll be fine. No, there's a lot more to it, and I really wish I could just homeschool her, and I wish that there was more homeschoolers in my area to where I could get my daughter together with them and have the socialization that she needs. But it's very hard for me. A lot of my friends already have kids that are much older. I have about 2 or 3 friends that have kids that are within my daughter's age group, and it's awesome to get us all together. And with COVID, it was very hard with socialization. And then I also had medical issues last year, which I'll get into another time. And so I had to keep myself social distance from everyone. And it's just been incredibly tough with socialization. And I never really anticipated that. I got pregnant. We had our daughter in September of 2019 before COVID. So, I mean, who could anticipate COVID and just the social distancing and the lockdown? Like, no one. And it was really crazy. So when it comes down to homeschooling her, I would do it in a heartbeat if I knew more homeschoolers in my area to do the socialization that she needs. I don't think that I would really struggle with homeschooling with her. I just think that the socialization is what really, really weighs on me. And I probably said socialization about 30 times now. And can you tell it's weighing on me? It's just something I really, really want her to be okay with. I don't want her to be socially awkward like I am. Even though I was in public schools, I'm socially awkward. I have social anxiety, and I'm very high strung. I have a lot of anxiety. So I just really, really want her to be okay. I just want the best for her. And then if there is an issue, that I can see it and I can understand it and I can almost know what she's going through in a way, because I go through it myself, and be able to help her and best guide and direct her. I would love to know if anybody else has really struggled with this, if it's something, or just even warn people. I mean, it's just something that I never really thought of whatsoever, or even thought of having a backup plan. And normally I come up with a plan A, B, C, D, and E, just in case. Like whenever I pack up our stuff, I pack for like an entire 2 weeks. If we're going somewhere for a weekend, I got 2 weeks worth of stuff for all of us, including my husband, because I overthink things. And this, I don't think I thought hard enough on at all. At the time when we moved, it was just, we needed a place. We needed somewhere to live. We had nowhere to live. So finding a house was just top priority. The only thing I cared about was 2 bedrooms and a bathroom on the same floor. Our room, baby room, bathroom, we're good. That's all I cared about. Like the shape of it, whatever, we'll fix it up. We'll do what we need. Let's hope that the major things like the structure, the roof, the water tank, things like that are all okay. And anything else we can do, we can fix up whatever, as long as it's within our price range. And now looking back on it, I wish that I spent a little bit more time considering the location and the area and the schools, because now after COVID, or even still with the pandemic, just the housing market is absolutely insane. The houses I looked at back in 2019 in the area that we're now looking at has nearly tripled to quadrupled, and it's just something I wasn't anticipating again. So, I mean, hopefully our house, even though it's been reassessed, it's tripled in price, it still doesn't compare to what it's worth to the houses out in that area. So it makes it really difficult. I always said if there was an issue, or she's having issues in schooling or issues with a friend group in her teenage years, and something like that's going on, we'll just relocate. And now looking at it, I'm understanding how hard it is to just up and relocate. I don't think that that's something as easily said and then done. And even with my house, I love my house. We've put so much work into it together, me and my husband. We have been through so much in this house. I have been through a lot in our house. So just the thought of leaving, there's so much sentimental value to it to me, to where it's really hard for me to think of leaving our house. But when it comes to my daughter's education, I feel like I'd leave it in a heartbeat, as long as it was something that was livable, move in and be able to do, and just fix up cosmetics. Anything that we don't particularly like, we can just do, like painting, changing out the floors, fixing the fixtures, countertops. We can do stuff like that. And if we can't, figure it out on YouTube. Like everybody else, DIY, we'll do it. It's just, there's certain things that I feel like we can do.